Welcome to Breaking the Chain. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Cody.
We got not a lot of news this week, but we got the Calling Brisbane. We have just PQ metagame. We have another hero LLing this week, and a
Back to
small
back.
topic on fatigue.
Back-to-back LLs. Is that the
Yeah,
first time we've had that?
I think so.
Might be the first time we've had back-to-back LLs week after week.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, if we want, let's get into your week in Fab first.
Unfortunately, not too much of my week in Fab. I considered playing a Pro Quest today, but unfortunately, long story short, I had a mini pipe burst in the house, and I say mini because thankfully it wasn't too bad. But I have a lot of stuff to do around the house because of it. So that's what I'm going to be doing today instead of the Pro Quest.
Oh man.
So nothing in Flesh and Blood. I've been testing on Talishar for the Battlegrounds. That is not this weekend, but next weekend. And I'm actually really excited for that one. I am playing a deck. I guess I could just say it. I've been practicing Vincent, and I think it's actually a very good, very strong deck in the format. It seems like it's been favorable into KO. The stats have it as pretty good into everything. Yeah, I've been feeling pretty strong. I like it a lot.
So on short aside, I think last week you told me you felt burnt on Vincent and you weren't gonna play her again. So when I saw
Yeah.
you say, I feel like I'm gonna play Vincent, I thought that was a pretty interesting thing.
You know what's funny is that after my NAS performance. Oh, I actually have a note on that too. But after my NAS performance, with Vincent, I basically wrote her off forever. But what's funny is that there's a chance that she might just be my pick for this upcoming Nats. And the reason I say that is because I actually qualified for this upcoming Nats through XP, which I did not
Oh,
expect to happen at all. And I got the
that's
news like
great.
right after we recorded the last episode. But yeah, with the XP system that they implemented for the RTN season actually gave me an invite, which was
Oh, that's sick.
totally unexpected. All I did was I top aided one, I think. I top aided one, and then I went like I don't know, somewhere in the 9th through 16th in two other ones. I think that was it. I think I only played three. So I did not expect to get my invite that way, but I'll take it. It's pretty cool. I'm excited for it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my week in Flesh and Blood. How about you?
My week in Flesh and Blood. I went to the Tuesday Armory. That was really it. I couldn't make it to a Pro Quest. But I go to the Tuesday Armory. I'm like, man, look, good news. I'm making it to 2 Pro Quests this weekend. I'm going to finish the season strong. I'm so excited. I'm so ready.
Hell yeah.
But I'm like, man, I need practice for this Pro Quest. I
I
put
know
my
this is
CC
coming.
deck together, and I'm like, I need practice. Put the CC deck together. And I didn't even have all the cards yet. But I'm like, okay, I have what I have. I go to the Armory. I sign up. And then I hear, it's Sage Night. I'm like, oh no, I don't have a Sage deck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? Luckily, there's someone named Tyler that was there, and he had a bunch of extra Sage decks, an absolute
That's nice.
legend. But I'm like, oh no, it's Sage Night. I don't have a deck, and he's standing right next to me. He's like, do you need to borrow one? And I'm like, do you have an extra? I definitely need one. And so he pulls out a few decks, and I ended up playing Benji on Tuesday,
Ooh.
and that was sick. I
Yeah.
went 2-1,
Okay. That's
playing
pretty good.
3 Dromais. It was
That's funny.
crazy. There's so many Dromais in the room. I think there's like 4 or 5 Dromais at that armory. And it was just Dromai all night long. I'm like, I know there's more than Dromais in this room, but apparently it's like, yeah, I was shocked. But it was a lot of fun. I had a great time.
That's cool.
Benji also ran Crazy Boo combo, so that was pretty sick. But it's really interesting with Benji and like all the Crouching Tiger stuff because
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, on hit, create a crouching tiger, and you throw the one that's like 2 or less, so it hits, creates a crouching tiger in hand. And
Mm-hmm.
then because of Benji's ability, when you the first time you hit your next attack, it's +1. So it's like,
Like
oh,
mini
this for
Ira,
2 on
yeah.
hit, create a crouching tiger. Yeah, exactly. And then, oh, 1 on hit. And then you're gonna go like all these mini attacks. Like I did a bunch of lines where it's like, oh, 2, 1, 2, 4,
Mm-hmm.
salt the wound. So it's like they
Just
don't
like
really block a lot of those small ones. And it's like the 4, it's like, oh, I'll block 3 and then salt the wound for something big. So that was cool. There's a lot of really cool and fun things that you can do with Benji. But it definitely gets a little awkward when like the drumline just goes, scar, rabble, 0 for 4 dragon. You're like, oh no. Like that is a
yeah.
lot more damage than I can push.
Yeah, that's the thing about
Who's
Benji's. You can push damage, but it's not as much as other
yeah.
decks.
Mhm.
So you got to be a little careful.
Yeah, it's not it's a ninja, but you're a very small ninja.
Was out of curiosity, was that deck running Kadachi's or the staff, the Kakara?
It was running staff,
Okay.
which I thought was actually sick because it's like a 1 for 3 with how you end up using so much crouching tigers because it's 2 damage and then +1 in crouching tiger
Right. Oh, I see. You mean like 2 resources for 3 damage. Yeah.
or 2 resources. Yeah, 2 resources for 3.
Yeah. That's
But
like,
yeah,
yeah,
one
that's pretty
card
great.
3. So, yeah, it was pretty good for a weapon. So I was pretty happy with that. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, that was my week in Flesh and Blood. Hopefully, I have stuff to say next week.
Yeah, because yeah, I don't think you mentioned because part of your week in Flesh and Blood was preparing for a tournament today.
I didn't prepare much.
Well, you
I
said
did.
you got the deck together, you refined it, you made all your
Oh
sideboarding
yeah.
choices and all that stuff. Yeah, you prepared for it. You may not feel like you did, but you did.
So I was playing like I guess a little short aside. I did like play my deck and with like all the LLs and all that changes of the meta. I was like playing my old deck and I'm like, man, I'm only winning like 75% of the time. Like maybe not that much, but like, Talishar. But I'm like going on Talishar and I'm like, maybe not 75. It was probably less actually, but I was like, man, I just don't feel strong in this deck with the evolving meta. Like things are just changing around. So I made like a copy and like not completely. I changed like maybe 6 cards out of the deck. But I'm like, I think I need more marionette stuff. And those like I didn't have overcrowded, just this short aside. I didn't have overcrowded. And I was like, man, I think I need that for the marionette matchup at least, if not just assassins in general. And even maybe some rangers, which I don't think I need the help in the ranger. I think I'm pretty good, but might as well. But that's what I was like super worried about, and I didn't get that card until like last night at 7 p.m. at night. So I was glad to get that. But it was something where I changed out the deck, and I ended up like playing a bit on Talishar. And after I changed the deck, I went like 8 and 10. Like I had like
Damn.
8 wins in a row. And the Acilio that beat me, I don't know if I told this. This might have been near the end of last week. But the Acilio that beat me, I think I got them down to low life. I had like 4 life. I had floating pitch. And then I went to kill them. And on their turn, or like in response to me killing them, they went instant speed, shock, Volzar, kill. And I'm like, you like exactly killed me. Drew a whole hand of only shock to kill. Well, I don't think one of them was a shock, actually. I think one was just another instant, but it was 3 shocks at least. An instant that was also lightning to deal exact lethal, and I was mind blown.
Yeah, Acilio can do the Storm Striders thing without Storm Striders.
Yeah. Well, and I was
Kinda
prepared
cool.
for that. I'm like, I have 4 life, I have floating pitch, like I
Right.
can live this. And
But
then
not
they're
that
like,
much.
not that much.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that being possible.
Yeah, no, they can hit pretty hard sometimes. It's rare, but they can do it.
Yeah.
Um
But that was one of my losses, and I'm like,
how do you feel running into Acilios today? Like what's What's your thoughts? If you're sitting across from
If
Facilio, how are you feeling? Are you feeling good or bad?
better than I think most decks. Like
Yeah.
I think I have a very good chance. If the Acilio doesn't just go hot, which I mean Acilio does a lot, but like if the Acilio plays a reasonable game, I think I'm favored. But sometimes they just go, turn 3, 56 damage.
Yep.
Oh, I drew 4 shocks or 3 shocks in my hand when you're at 4 life and have pitch floating. Well, it doesn't really matter. Like, that's I'm like, if it's reasonable, I think I'm favored. Or at least I think it's a 50-50. I'm sure if like I'm sitting across from a player that's really skilled and practiced on the deck, I might even be slightly unfavored. But
Right. Makes sense. What are you the most afraid of running into then?
not Verdance. That was I was so
Yeah,
happy to see that
thankfully
go.
she's gone. Yeah, that was a bad matchup for you for
Um,
sure.
Probably Marionette.
Yeah, but you said you hit some tech for Marionette, right?
I have a lot more tech for Marionette. I took all my gravy tech out, which I guess like I'm really scared for gravy, but I don't think there's gonna be enough gravies for me to like be that worried.
Yeah, the last
Like
PQ there was one. There was only one gravy.
that's I'm like I have one gravy in mind, but my tech doesn't matter against him, so it doesn't really matter.
Interesting. Throwing some shade
So
out there.
no. I'm saying it doesn't matter because it doesn't. I no matter what I do, I can't beat Noah. Like he's like my nemesis of the modern age.
uh,
Like
okay, I see. You know,
like I
actually,
had like all the tech at one point, and I still could not beat him. It was crazy.
I
But
will say,
um,
I'm now looking at the last PQ. I wasn't at this one. There were 2 gravies in the top 8. That is something to keep in mind.
well, let's just hope I roll hot because like Valda can still do it without tech. I don't think a lot of decks or a lot of Guardians can. She still can do it. It's still
Because like Midas touch is the
possible.
main tech that you would add, right?
Yeah, that's what you normally want.
Yeah.
I just have to be very aggressive and hope they're very aggressive back. If they play a little more middling and just play allies and dink you with allies, it's actually very bad for Balda.
Well,
But
it's mostly Chum that's the problem, right?
yeah, Chum's a pretty big problem.
Yeah, and that's what Midas.
Yeah, and I want to say like that's the biggest problem because whenever I need to land a hit, Chum just says no, and that's I'm like, I honestly think Gravy wouldn't be that bad if, especially Chum was gone. Faldo would feel really good in the Gravy.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm like, okay, I'm moderately scared of Gravy. I took out a lot of the tech, but I'm more scared of Marionette just because I think it's an extremely tough matchup. Even though I have a lot of tech for it now, I think it's an extremely tough matchup, and I think it's something where like they can also just roll hot. They can be like, oh, Kiss of Death, T Toxin. Like,
Yep.
oh, you blocked like oh, I have staunch response. I play staunch response. I block 7 on your Kiss of Death. And they're like, double T toxin. You block 1 on 9. You are dead.
And then, yeah, you basically have to predict correctly.
Yeah.
There was because I played against Easton at the last PQ, and
Hmm.
there was a spot where I was like, I think I got to play around this card, and then it turned out if I just didn't play around that card, then I would have won the game. But I lost because I played around it. And there's like situations like that where it's like you actually just can't afford to play around it. You just have to say that they don't have it.
So that's I'm like, I think what I've learned about playing against marionettes is you just don't play around anything because you get punished for playing around anything.
Yep,
So you just pretend they don't have the reactions and hope they can't kill you from like 15.
pretty much.
Like that's
The unfortunate
because like
thing, yeah.
that's the unfortunate thing about marionette is like if they have the reaction, it doesn't matter if you block, you're dead. So you just gotta hope that they don't have the reaction and you can respond and make them lose cards the next turn.
Exactly. um, but yeah, I mean, thankfully there haven't been too many marionettes locally, so I
Mhm.
think you are in a pretty good spot. I'm pretty excited for you. I think this will be great. I think you stand a really good chance of just taking the whole thing down.
That's a lot of praise for someone that's barely played Flesh and Blood in the last couple
Well,
weeks.
you know Valda in and out. You don't need to have that much practice on it.
I don't know. I'm excited that Victor's getting better because that's a good matchup for Valda.
Yeah.
So, like, if we see Victor's in the room, I'm excited. I think, like Huntsman, I feel really confident into. Dio, I think is like 50-50.
Yeah. I
Like
think that there's gonna be a lot of Guardian there today. Um, I think there's a lot of people in the locally that just like Guardian. And will be there.
I love Guardian mirrors. I'm so willing to all day long Guardian mirror.
Yeah, I expect
And
Victors, I expect Gravies, I expect Huntsmans, I expect a Pleiades maybe.
yeah. Like Pleiades, maybe I'm a little worried about because it's just a different type of fatigue that I don't think I'm like the follow the deck is like ready to counter in the same way.
Yeah.
I think the new hammer helps a lot. I think it helps a ton.
Sorry,
So
you have the new hammer. I forgot about
I
that.
haven't actually played with the new hammer yet, but like I
Wait, you
think the
like the
new
new
hammer
hammer
helps a
for
ton.
the Pleiades matchup? So you can run the
Oh
shield?
yeah. Oh, it's
Is it because
so
you have
good in the
do you have
Pleiades
ramparts?
matchup.
Is that why?
No. I just have the Testament of Valhalla. The thing is, it's always throwing 5. While Titan's Fist is sometimes 3, sometimes 4. I'm not running Sledge.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm not running Sledge.
Because
I
Sledge
don't think
is
it's worth the
technically the
side
better
mixes.
option, right? Because you don't need the block against
Technically,
fatigue
yeah.
Pleiades.
Mhm.
But against some other decks, yeah, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Is like, would you rather? I mean, like, because like against Jarl, you definitely want the shield to beat their Oakenolds. Um, I guess it's just Pleiades.
Yeah, that's really how I feel. Is like, okay, like
Yeah.
I don't want to like Pallades is my biggest worry out of all the Guardian. Victor, I feel really good into because you want to draw cards? Feel free. Oh, your
Yeah.
gold main estate? Because like the other thing is like, spoiler alert, I'm running Disenchantment of the old ones that destroys all auras. So you sit on that in Arsenal, wait for them to cast gold main estate, and then you go, oh, you drew a card. I was at 2. Now I'm at 3 seismic surge. 10 dominate. I destroy everything you just did last turn.
All your mites, yeah.
All your mites. Then you destroy them, and they don't get the benefit of playing that card other than creating a gold.
I guess that
But
means you're supposed to pitch
again,
stack them, huh? You're supposed to just like pitch them for second cycle because that's usually when they
well
do
the
that.
well the thing is, I'm an aggressive guardian, and normally against Victor, I don't really need to go to pitch stack because you're gonna draw cards, you're gonna do stuff, and they still run some of the block cards that like because they don't have defense reactions as well.
Yeah.
So my dominate's even more effective. And then their block cards, when they run them, because they need to run them, are drawing cards. That or it gets me a gold. And
Yeah,
I'm
or
pretty
you win
happy
the
to,
clashes,
like,
yeah.
yeah, because I also run bigger attacks. And like the other thing is I win half the clashes with Victor because like I run bigger attacks, but I also run non-attacks. But like if they draw a card, like, oh no,
That's
so
funny. Yeah, the
sad,
clash
too
is almost a
bad.
win-win for you.
Yeah, I'm like, you drew a card, create a seismic surge. And like if I and it's a longer matchup, so I get leyline out too at some point. So it's like, oh no, you won the clash. I get a seismic surge. I also did one off tectonic, so that's my second. And oh, you didn't full block, so that's 3 seismic surge from hitting. Now I have dominate next turn.
Yep.
And then you have an infinite dominate cycle because you just tectonic attack. They draw like not infinite, but like attack. It has dominate on hit seismic surge. If they do another clash and lose, I have dominate the next turn. Or clash and win, I have dominate next turn. So it's
Or
interesting.
you play
Like
when you're
not
not
that it's a
attacked, so they're trying to full block or whatever if you didn't dominate.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like it's interesting because it's not an auto win matchup. It's not like Marlin level favored, but I think like it's 60-40 Valda.
Okay.
I think it's one of those matchups. If you know what you're doing, you're pretty well off. I say, but I'm pretty happy going into this meta, and we can jump into the like next thing of Verdance LLing.
Yeah. So Verdant's gone. We talked about this a little earlier. Back to back Living Legends.
We were talking about how KO LLing was the worst thing that could happen to Volda. Verdance LLing is the best thing that could have happened to Volda.
It's just like a roller coaster. Like, oh no, we're doomed. Oh no, we're yes, we're saved.
I am that meme right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually liked Verdance a lot. Like I thought she was super cool. I'm sad to see her go, but I'm also extremely happy as a Guardian player to see her go.
Yeah, she was a very interesting deck, especially early on. I liked early Verdance a lot. I thought she was a really cool
Same.
deck. She attacked the game at a very different angle, right? You had this. I think the main problem with her at the time was it was just a little inconsistent. Um, and so when they raised the consistency, she was so strong. If you drew the cards in the right order, and so once the consistency raised, she just became too strong in terms of a consistency angle. She still wasn't that strong on like the higher tier competitive levels, as we've been seeing with all these callings lately, that where she's just not converting. There's I don't think there's been a single Verdance in top 8 actually in the past like 3 or 4 callings.
Yeah.
Despite being a decent chunk of the meta game. But at like local tournaments at ProQuests and RTNs, she's been dominating, really. She's been at the top of the charts the entire time because it's just such a consistent deck. But yeah, no, I mean, Verdance was a cool deck. I thought it was a really, really cool wizard. I think they nailed a, I don't want to say fair wizard, but I want to say more fair wizard, if that makes sense.
I want to say that I think if all the classes had the tools, it would have been a very fair wizard. But I think that we have a lot of arcane support, but we don't have anti-arcane support, and that's. I mean, it's coming from a Guardian player.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think you have a specific different viewpoint on this than most other people.
I'm like, even if I had like I was talking to people, I'm like, if I had like even an arcane barrier 2 piece, like one arcane barrier 2 piece, I would feel a lot better in the matchup, and I think it would have made a big difference.
Yeah.
But Guardian doesn't have any arcane barrier, not any. So it's all generic, like Null Rune and Arcanite Skullcap. Which Arcanite Skullcap, you definitely still would have ran into the matchup, but it feels bad that that's your main arcane barrier piece. I have to be lower to be able to prevent you from
Plus, it
doing.
Doesn't really stop the combo anyway. Doesn't actually. No. It doesn't even turn on for the combo.
Yeah, and so the other thing is like, I actually loved Verdance when she was doing like rampant growth combo, which she didn't really do in the end was the thing, and that's why you'd like fatigue her with Arcanite Skullcap. But it was like, I like when there was rampant growth combo with the Plume of Evergrowth. That was the coolest thing. I actually would have played Verdance if I had Felling of the Crowns. When Plume of Evergrowth was like a thing, I was like, this looks so cool. I have every other card, but I don't want to pay like $80 for Felling of the Crown. I'm like, I don't want to play the deck.
Go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, so that was a very interesting life cycle of the Earth talent in the game, right? Where Felling of the Crown and Plowlander were both like $50 cards each. And so in order to get into the Earth talent, you had to spend what, $300 on 6 cards. And that was so pricey. And then they reprinted it in Super Slam.
Yeah, it's only like a couple bucks.
Yeah, now it's like, well, I mean, now it's even cheaper. But yeah, like even when both Earth Heroes were still still around, I say both. There's 3.
I was just about to say, I think it's so funny because like not only you, but everyone I've listened to on podcasts or talked to, they're like, "Oh, the Earth Heroes are gone. What are we gonna do now?" And it's like technically Jarl still exists.
There is an Earth Hero.
Here is an Earth Hero. Is he good?
I think he's actually not in the worst spot right now.
I think he's like, I was gonna say, I think he's good, but like he doesn't use like Felling to the same power level. Like it's still Felling. It's still a 2-card 11. Like it's still gonna do some crazy stuff. But it doesn't feel as bad when Jarl plays it as it does like Verdance or Florian, where it's like, I'm doing like this and arcane damage, or I'm doing like this in like you strike into this or something like that. Or like I'm creating 100 rune chance and I'm taking a card. Jarl just does that's pretty much his turn. He's just throwing 11 at like so he's just
it's just a 2-card 11.
Just a 2-card 11, which like
what was I gonna say?
It's just not the same.
Yeah, it's just not the same. That's like most people just don't think of him as an Earth hero. Like he's just more of an Ice hero.
People don't think of him as an Ice hero. They just think of him as a Fatigue Guardian. Is like all honestly, that they think of him was.
I mean, I think of him as an Ice hero. Not only because like the art just invokes an ice
Mhm.
Uh-oh. What's that? What are you saying?
I want to say I think it's a lot of the effect of the local meta that makes you think that he's a nice hero.
I mean, sure. Like what I was gonna say, or what I was saying though, is that like just the looks of him. Like if you look at the card
Yeah.
and it didn't say essence of earth or ice, and you had to guess,
Oh,
you would probably say ice, right? Like
yeah.
it just looks like an icy card. I don't know, like it's like blue,
No,
just a
that's
lot of
true.
blue on it and everything. But yeah, it's and then like the main like draw with this character when it first was spoiled was like, oh, what's the shield called? The ice shield. Shoot.
I have it.
I just like yeah,
I've
it's
played
so
with it like for 6 months straight. What?
it's so funny how like if one person forgets the name of something, the other person are like automatically forgets the name of it too, just because one person
Bastion of
forgot the name of it.
Eisenloft? Is that it?
No, it's Frost something, right? Ice Shield. How do we not know the name of the Ice Shield? How have we both forgotten it?
I don't know.
If I type Ice Shield in the Fabre, does it come up? And it does not. What if I guess I just can like offhand? Should come up pretty quickly. Stalagmite.
Stalagmite. Yep.
Stalagmite.
Yep.
Bastion of Ice and Loft.
Wait a second. That's what I said.
Is that what you said? Oops. I only remember stalagmite. That's the only part I remember.
Well, yeah. What I said is I didn't say stalagmite. I said Bastion of Eisenloft.
Yeah, and I was like, what the hell is that?
You're like, that's not it. I'm like, he must be right.
I said it so confidently that you believed me.
Yeah, you did.
But yeah, no, that was like the first thing that I think everyone's minds went to. That and Channel Lake Frigid. Like they saw Earth and they're like, whatever. But the ice part is like the key thing everybody thought about. So anyway, long story short, the there was like a prohibiting factor of getting to these heroes, and then they reprinted the cards, but then Florian was already kind of on his way out, and not even like I think at the time just wasn't even good. Like he got um the one card banned, the blue 3 block Earth card.
So you said that he was good. Everyone else told you that he wasn't good.
Well, no, I'm talking about before then.
Being good.
I'm talking about before then.
Okay.
Like when he got the one card banned, and everyone agreed that he wasn't in a good spot. And then he got that card unbanned, and then everyone thought he was in a bad spot, and then that's when I was like, wait, guys, this the stats are kind of insane on this Florian hero. But yeah, so long story short, yeah, like there was a weird middle period after the reprints where the cards were so cheap, but then people didn't really care to play the Earth heroes anyway.
They made Verdance boring.
Yeah.
They made her into.
I wouldn't say boring. It's just like if you've already played her, then she was so straightforward, right? It's just like okay, you block, you decompose when you can, and then you eventually you're online and you kind of just do nutty damage and you storm shredders.
Block 6, those 6 arcane. Okay.
Yeah.
Block 6, still felling the crown. Okay,
Yep.
Okay. Block 6 arcane. Block 6. Plow under. Here's a weak turn. What can I say?
Yeah.
Block 6 arcane. Oh, it's the opponent's turn. Storm Strider 6 arcane, waning moon. You're dead. Interesting.
Yeah, and then like you said, most decks cut the combo out, the rampant growth combo, because it was so less consistent. You basically had to go to like second cycle, or even third cycle to do the combo.
Yeah.
And those were only against very specific decks anyway. So
against Guardian, which he was already super favored into.
Yeah, exactly. Because you just had like you could also just run Channel Millennium Tree instead and just have so much damage leak.
That was my nightmare here in locals. It was like Channel Millennium Tree, so it wasn't just like, oh, like 6 arcane. It was like 9 arcane, and oh my god, I kept it for a third turn. I drew another 6 spell. And I'm like, why? Why? Could you do this? 9 arcane. Oh, I'm like, okay, it's gone. Thank God. And they're like, oh, guess what I drew? Millennium Tree, and I'm like, it's over. My whole life is over.
You know what's funny is that's basically how it's a very similar feeling to when you play against a Jarl and then they keep Channel Lake Frigid around for another turn. You're like, no. Oh.
Yeah, that's true. That's how I feel.
Honestly, I feel like you should go back on your Jarl villain arc. I feel like the world would be a worse place, and that's good.
The world would be a worse place. So I've been collecting the cards to remake my Jarl deck and like update it, and I have them. Like they're actually sitting right here. I'm getting really close to building it. It's just I wanted to wait until after the PQ season
Yeah.
because like I realized I could actually go. And I think I've showed them off in a couple other podcasts. But
You showed off some
I've
like
got
alt arts or something, but I can't remember what they
I
were.
got the yeah, no, I got the
Yeah,
channel
that's right.
ice. I got the Laden with Frost, which is my baby.
Yep.
Um those are the two big ones. I'm going to at some point build a doubling season Jarl with
Hell
Channel
yeah.
Skybreaker. I have three. The third one's in here. It's in here. But like
Yeah.
I have three of these. I have the Crown of Everbloom because you have to have the Crown of Everbloom. I don't know if this is going to be relevant, but I obviously got the sense weaknesses.
Obviously.
So
You had to.
So I had to. So I am ready to play Jarl.
Those are going to be a big deal when Drum My 2 is out, for what it's worth.
I will wait to see if they're a big deal when Drum My 2 comes out. I think that it is the biggest. I was talking to someone, and I think this is true. I think it's the biggest buff that Bravo has gotten since Everfest. Sense weakness.
So now I gotta know. Now, why do you think that?
Because it says dominate on your hammer.
Why is that a big deal?
Because when I go to second cycle, it's even easier to just go 7 dominate, 7 dominate, 7 dominate, 7 dominate when you're at really low life total.
Makes sense. I feel like
what I
feel like you lose before you get to second cycle, but if you get to second cycle, then I guess it's fine.
I mean, if there's a bunch of guardians out there,
that's true. It depends on the meta.
Like if it's the fatigue meta, like as a Bravo player, I would love to throw 7 dominate off of one card so many turn cycles in a row. And then you actually another card that was really cool and relevant. I forget what it is, but it's that like short card from Guardian Mastery Pack. That's no. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a 4 for 3 blocks 3 at blue. But if you've pitched 2 cards that cost 3 or greater, it gets +4. So it would be a 4 for 7. And the thing about Bravo is you can activate Bravo's ability for 2, and he's always running 3 costs. So you activate his ability for 2, give your next attack that costs 3 or more dominate. Then you throw that, and it's a mini macho. Late game, it's a 6 card, or it's a 6 cost 7 dominate. It's Guardian Mastery Pack.
What card? What was the card again? Like, what does it do?
It is a 4 cost at blue. Well, and it has a full cycle. But it's 4 cost, 3 attack, 3 block. And if you've pitched 2 cards with 3 or more cost, it gets +4.
Look at Guardian Mastery Pack. Just trying to find it.
It was like a rare that no one thought about. Here, let me pull up my February deck. It's in there right now. I have been playing a little bit of Bravo recently. Not a ton. But
Little Bigfoot.
Little Bigfoot. Yep.
There are 2 or more cards with cost 3 or more in your pitch show, and this gets +6.
So the idea in Bravo is it is a 3. It's a Macho Grande that costs 6 instead of 7. It attacks for 1 less. It's just Macho Grande in Bravo. Just 1 cycle down. If that makes any sense. It's a 6 for 7 dominate instead of a 7 for 8 dominate.
I see.
Yeah. But Sense Weakness, I think, is the biggest buff Bravo has gotten since Everfest as a Bravo fan. And I think it's because you can do and I like to do this way back when with Bravo, but I think it's like the only thing that Bravo gets outside of the other heroes is you can first cycle throw your big attacks. And then when you hit second cycle, because you're Bravo, you're going to hit second cycle. And if you don't hit second cycle, you lose. When you hit second cycle, you can just throw 7 dominate. Or like Tear Sunder. Like you go hammer, Tear Sunder, or Tear Sunder, hammer, Tear Sunder, hammer. Oh, I'm out of Tear Sunders. Okay, buckle, hammer, buckle, hammer, buckle, hammer. and it's like sense weakness hammer now. Sense weak like, and it's not in that exact order. You're not going to get
Yeah,
three tear
yeah.
sunders, three buckles, three sense weakness. It's going to be like, oh, tear sunder, sense weakness, tear sunder, buckle, probably tear sunder again. With how pitch stack works. And then you go sense weakness, and then you go buckle, and then you go buckle, and then you go sense weakness, and you just throw so much dominate late game, and it only costs it costs three cards, but it only costs one from
Yeah.
your deck. You're a very aggressive fatigue, and it also requires ways to get around dominate. So it's something that I think like, oh, if Pleiades fatigue gets really good, this could be a really good deck into Pleiades fatigue because it's
Yeah.
like, can you consistently defend 7 dominate? Just consistently. I have 9 of them in my deck. If
Well, I mean,
Remembrance isn't banned, I have 12,
I mean,
15,
you're not leaking that
even
much though,
18.
because like they could just run Rampart into that deck, right? So they can block like 4 minimum every time, if not more. So each
So
one of those is leaking 3. And then they also have like the staunch responses, and they have other ways to prevent damage and D-reacts and yada yada.
Well, the thing is, you're like early game, you're throwing dominate, crippling, crush, so they're using their defense reactions on that.
That's
It's
the
not. It's
idea, right?
actually how I used to beat Oldhim. I think Bravo was super favored into Oldhim back in the day. It's just no one really played Bravo when Oldhim was a thing. But I think you're super favored in Oldhim back in the day because I would run Buckle and Tear Asunder, and the idea was, and he has other ways of defense reaction. He had a hero ability that defense
Yeah.
reaction. But early game, I would throw like Crippling Crush Dominate and Oldhim would block out. Throw Crippling Crush Dominate, Oldhim would block out. Crippling, like you just throw all your big attacks for Dominate,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get the second cycle. And now I'm like Hammer for 7 Dominate. And Oldhim's like, okay, Earth React, block 3, take 2. I'm like, cool. 7 Dominate. Earth React, block 3, take 2. And then and then I would have Buckles, and I'm like, 7 Dominate. And it's actually how I would win the game.
Okay.
Is I would just force them to like block, and they would just leak damage down, even though he had more reactions. Even sometimes he'd run Rampart on top of that. Like he had other ways to block a lot, but it would force him to do so much that it allowed me to gain one momentum, but also just still continue to eat cards from his deck. And like Terra Sunder, yeah, it's really strong because if you eat all the defense reactions, hit them, make them discard 2 more cards. But like you do that, and then you take all the momentum because they have to play super defensively one turn to stop you from just killing them because you leaked so much. Then you just throw Macho. Like I have all the momentum. I
Yeah.
have Macho Grande in my deck. Here's Macho for 8, and
Yeah,
then
just
they
constant
lose.
dominate.
Like
Yeah,
it is something that like I think is super favored if you know how to play it.
that's fair.
Learning to play it is tough, but
As a side note, I can't wait for them to be like just being tired of the early heroes not LLing and just print absolutely busted expansion slot cards that are specializations for them. Just be like, all right, fuck it. Here's Bravo spec, cost 0, 10 Dominator, something dumb like that. Let's get him out of here.
I honestly thought that like the best way to like give Bravo support and no other Guardian support is literally say a card that like have a card kind of like Thump where it says if this gains dominate. Well, that Thump is like if it gets plus power, but
Yeah.
like a card that says if this gains dominate, this gains on hit, this, whatever. And I think Bravo would love that because he's like, okay, like a 3 for 7. If this gains dominate, it's on hit, discard a card.
Yeah.
Bravo would be fiending for that. That would make Bravo so good.
I mean, that's like the same thing with like Betsy, right? It's like they keep giving her more wager, like if this has been wagered cards, or no, sorry, they are wager specializations, but
Yeah.
you just need a critical mass of really good ones for it to actually matter.
Yeah, and it's something where it's like, oh, I don't want to buff any of the other Guardians, but we want to get Bravo out of here. Like, you just add cards that have the text, if this gains dominate.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Bravo's the only one that can use it because it doesn't have Crush, so Valda can't give it dominate. And you can run a really weird build of Valda where you run that Leave a Dent where it gives a card Crush.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's obviously like the what's the word we're looking for? Like, the most elegant answer to not, like, to be able to target one hero without making a specialization. But at the same time, they could just make a specialization and just call it
good, Do you know how many specs Bravo already has and it hasn't changed anything?
A lot. I mean, this could be the meta. I mean, funnily enough, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but this could be the meta for Bravo. There's a world.
So So that's another thing. I was sorry, a lot of ranting today, but that was another thing at the armory that we spent like 10 minutes talking about after the armory. I'm like, this could be the meta for Bravo. Anyways, I'm gonna. So I was talking how I was gonna build Jarl. I'm also gonna build Bravo. I have to. I have to go back to my boy.
Back to the
I will at
roots.
least want to back to the roots. Man, I was like talking about Bravo, and I felt so nostalgic for Bravo. I'm like, oh, I can't just not play Bravo. I have to play Bravo.
You gotta at least bring it to an armory.
Yeah, exactly. Those were the good old days.
All
Where's
right, I
Flesh and
guess we
Blood
should maybe
gone?
talk about the things
Nah,
we've actually got in our outline.
that's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, Verdance LL. We also have the ProQuest Week 4 results. Kind of
We've gone
expected.
nowhere.
Yeah.
We're 2 lines into our text.
I mean that's what this is all about. We just talk about have fun, right?
No, that's fair. That's fair.
What's funny is before we were like, what are we gonna talk about? We don't have too much to talk about this week, and yet here we are.
Here we are.
We unscripted found things to talk about. Yeah, so we had some PQ results. Pretty expected. Verdance at the top, but not by much. Literally one extra win over Marionette. Then followed fairly closely by Dash.io, Huntsman, Arachne Huntsman, then Victor, and then Acilio, Prism, Pleiades, Ira. Like once you get past like the halfway mark, it's a lot of like a good spread of heroes. And I think this is the largest others section I've seen on a pie chart for ProQuests or RTNs.
I don't know
There's,
if it's the largest
it's a
because
large
there's
yellow
so
block.
many. There's so many heroes that have won 4, 5, 3, 2 wins.
Yeah.
Like you have like Bolton, Marlin, Katsu, Phi, Dory, Puffin, Gravy, Valda, Vincent, Kasai, and Ira. Those are all like 5 and less wins. Like
Mm-hmm.
that, or that's 4 and less wins. Like that's so many heroes to put in the not other section. Like enough to not be other section.
Yeah.
It's cool. I think it's super cool.
Oh yeah, the meta's in a really cool spot. Like Marionette is still like the best deck, quote unquote.
Yeah.
At least at like a consistency and locals level. I still think Acilio is honestly the best deck, but that's just me. I mean, it's not just me, but you know.
I mean, I think Acilio is the best deck,
Yeah,
but it is something you have to be extremely skilled at because if you're not extremely skilled, you draw every single turn against a Valda and somehow lose and go, huh?
yeah,
And
yeah. It's a very hard deck to play for sure.
yeah, it's extremely hard.
I'm really sad to see Dio doing really well because of the latest like callings pushing her LL status up there. I don't want to lose her yet. But at the same time, like I kind of want to try a different deck. Like I've been playing Dio for like over a year now. I'm
I've
kind
been
of
playing Guardian for 5.
well, okay, but
I'm good.
I play different decks though. Like I kind of want to try Puffin or maybe like a Ranger or maybe pick up Prism again before she LLs. Like there's a lot of things I want to branch out with. I just need to find an army I can go to weekly again. I think that's the main thing. Sorry, I'm getting off topic again. um, but yeah, a long story short, makes sense. I think Huntsman's pretty high up there. It is a good deck though. I think the deck is in a pretty strong spot. We saw Pablo Pintor take it to the finals, I believe, if I remember correctly, of a calling.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and
It is
then
like crazy to hear like Huntsman best deck. Like people are talking about that, and like
yeah,
Huntsman is like, oh, one of the worst decks you have to tech against. This is this. I'm like, what kind of alternate universe do we have to live in that Huntsman is best deck? We've gone
yeah,
how many years since he's come out that he is the worst deck in Flesh and
he
Blood
was quite
for
literally the worst deck in Flesh and Blood.
up until this last meta. Where Huntsman all of a sudden was the best deck, like it just complete shift, and
Yep.
it is so wild, and it just does like my brain doesn't feel like it comprehends correctly whenever I hear oh Huntsman best deck or Huntsman's doing well. My brain's like short circuiting. It's like I heard that wrong.
Well,
Obviously,
it's
it's
funny too because
Huntsman.
like before Compendium of Wraith came out, he was in a dark horse category. Like he
Yeah.
existed, but a lot of people were like, oh, it's just not a real deck, even though it was. It actually was. It just wasn't
Mhm.
putting up results.
I mean
But it
that's
was
fair.
this real dark horse deck. Um, and then Compendium of Wraith came out, gave him a couple more tools, and now the deck is just very solid. It's actually just a really
Very
good
true.
deck. There's ways around it. Like it's not busted by any means, but just super solid. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, cool meta. Um, we have one last ProQuest season this weekend, I believe. Unless we don't have
Yep.
another week. It's just this weekend.
No, this is the last week.
This is the last weekend of the CC ProQuest season. We'll see how this pie chart changes. My prediction, which I think we'll dive into a little bit more later, is that it's going to look exactly the same but without Verdance. That's my prediction.
I think yeah.
Maybe
You
Dio
could
goes a little bit down.
probably. I was gonna say you could probably see Dio go a little bit. I think like Dio could replace Victor, and Victor replaces Dio.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like I think a few of the Guardians move around, which is cool. Like
Mhm.
it makes me want to go back to Victor. Like he's meta relevant,
He
but
is.
like he's my least favorite Guardian, but he's still a Guardian. But I have to be Valda. Like I have to play Valda.
You have to.
So the Guardian in me wants to actually play all the Guardians right now because like Pallades looks sick, Jarl looks sick, Jarl doubling season looks sick, Fatigue Jarl looks sick. Like there's so many Jarls. Valda is sick, Victor's sick.
Bravo
Sorry,
potentially playable.
Bravo is playable, which like could you win your armory? Maybe, which is good enough for me.
Exactly.
Just gonna build them all, except for Betsy. But
yeah, that's the one Guardian that doesn't really stand a chance right now, does she? What about or anything else you want to talk about the PQ season before we talk about Colleen Brisbane?
no, I think it's just super cool that it's so full, and I don't think a lot's gonna change. Like if anything, I'm interested to see how Marionette takes up being the best deck outside of Basilio. Because I think Marionette, like, I want to see if the pie chart spreads out more or if Marionette just takes up Verdance wins.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe Marionette kind of just dominates this weekend.
And that's what I'm kind of like interested to see.
I can see that being the case. I think that like not a lot of people are moving on to Marionette, and so we'll see how that works. But anyway, I kind of want to talk about the Colleen Brisbane before we dive in too much deep into the changing meta. So Colleen Brisbane, the metagame for that was 194 players. The most brought being Arachne Marionette at 10%, followed by Dash.io at 9%, Arachne Huntsman, third most brought at 8%, Victor 7%, Verdant 6%, Acilio 6%, Syndra 6%. I did not expect
Syndra's crazy. Syndra's absolutely wild.
That's wild. Vincent 6%, and then Gravy 5, 5, Dory 4, Katsu 4, and then a lot of other heroes at 3, 2, 1. But again, very diverse meta. There's the top deck is only 10% of the meta.
I think that's crazy. I think only the like calling before had like a better diversity spread, which this I think this meta is the best diversity spread we've ever seen.
I could agree with you there. Almost ever seen. Yeah, insanely diverse meta. Conversion rates for top 48. The highest was Gravy Bones. 5 of them, half of Gravy Bones. Tied with Phi, same stats. 5 Phis, 50% of the Phis. Then Victor, 36% of Victors, 29% of Dash.ios, 25% of Arachne Huntsman, then 21% of Arachne Marionette, then 38% of Dories, and then nothing too notable beyond that. I guess Verdance is kind of notable that only 9%, only one Verdance converted.
Yeah. Same with Syndra.
Yeah, same with Syndra. I'm not too surprised about Syndra though. I'm not that surprised about Verdance either, but just notable that only one converted.
Yeah. I think the biggest surprise is how many Syndras showed up to this tournament.
Yeah, that's the real surprise. For top 8, we had it's kind of hard to see actually unless I zoom in here.
We had Huntsman, Marionette, Victor, Dio, Victor, Acilio, Gravy, Pallades.
The only repeat hero in that top 8 being 2 Victors.
Crazy.
That's
absolutely
insane.
Crazy.
And
I mean, Arachne was in there twice.
Oh, anyway.
Marionette.
Yeah. Okay.
Two completely different decks.
They are very, very different decks, despite having one shared name. And then the finals was a Victor versus an Acilio, with the Acilio winning. Congrats to Nick Malev. Acilio finally winning a large tournament despite being considered the best deck for a long time now.
I think it's just so extremely hard to play him.
It is, but
Like,
you typically
playing
these
Acilio.
callings for the really prepared players to come up to show up.
Yeah.
Speaking of, shout out to Matt Renz, who's playing the calling in, where is it again? It's today.
Memphis.
In Memphis today. I actually had a dream that he won it. So it's just a prediction. It's a prophecy. He's gonna take it down, I believe. But yeah, I think Acilio's in a really good spot, especially because we can talk about the meta again now, seeing this. Only one Marionette made top 8, and they didn't convert that well. Do we think Marionette is even a top deck going forward, or is it just a little bit overhyped?
I don't know why Marionette is not doing so well in like top 8s. Like Marionette's making it to all of the top 8s. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a very strong deck. But it does have some consistency issues.
I think Huntsman's a bad matchup too.
Huntsman is probably a bad matchup, yeah.
Paired into Huntsman and like immediately.
Yeah, I think the meta has definitely shifted a bit to counteract Marionette. And what else? You used to have some just really good what's the word I'm looking for? You had a really good meta before, but now it's just so diverse, and there's a lot of decks showing up, and a lot of these decks are showing up because because Marionette is the best deck. Well, quote unquote the best deck, one of the most brought decks, and they're prepared for it. It's a deck that used to get a lot of points for people not knowing how to play into it, and people are learning how to play into it better. Like we mentioned before, we're learning just to not even respect it, and then it loses a lot of value that way. So I think it's just maybe just falling back a little bit. Maybe it doesn't even need a hit in the upcoming BNR. Which, by the way, there's a BNR on Monday once the PQ season ends. Do we want to get into predictions on that right now, or do we want to wait a second?
We could jump into the predictions on that.
Predictions for the BNR. First of all, so a precursor. This is meant to be just a CC BNR. We already had a Silver Age BNR once the Silver Age portion of the ProQuest season concluded. And so now when the CC portion concludes, it's supposed to be just a CC BNR, but emphasis on supposed to be. Well, predictions. You already mentioned predictions beforehand. So let's repeat what that was. What was
remember what I played, but I'll go into more detail. Oh yeah. I was gonna say, I'll go into a little bit more detail. I think that it's gonna be no changes. I think LSS is gonna look at this meta and be like, "This is so good. This is the best meta we've ever had." And like, granted, like it is. It's really good. Like, I think there's some problematic cards, but it's not representing in the decks as well. So I think honestly they're gonna go no changes. The biggest thing that I could see them doing is saying, "We made a mistake. Here's some Sage bans." I don't think they want to do that because I think it feels like they've been doing less emergency bans as of recently. And I think if they do the emergency Sage bans, they're not going to do a CC ban. I think I think they want to have a pretty solidified meta going into the Pro Tour for at least one format to make it easy for players. So I think it's like, if we get Sage bans, we're not getting CC bans. And if we get CC, we're definitely not getting Sage bans. Yeah. And I still think it's not likely we're getting Sage bans. But I think the most likely ban is going to be a Sage ban.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because like we're not supposed to get a Sage ban. We're not supposed to. But
yeah,
there's a very clear best deck in Sage. Very clear best deck. Which is KO. The stats might say, and Talishar so far, the stats might say it's not just like absolute dominant deck, but we've been seeing the results. And actually, I did forget to mention there was a showdown that actually an OG Dash won in Brisbane.
Yeah, there was only 4 KO in top 8.
Only 4.
That's the least we should. Only 4 KO. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought.
Do you actually have the bracket for that? Because I didn't find it.
Uh, I don't have it pulled up, but I remember hearing that there was like only 4 KOs
I actually might be
and
able to
going,
find it really quick.
World Tour.
All right, Sunday Showdown. Here we go. So we
Oh, you got it.
had
It's quick.
it was Brisbane. I'm looking at the February tournament deck list. Is how I'm finding it. So yeah, there were 4 KO. There was one dash, which took it down. An Oldhim got second. An Ira got third, and I guess an Ira tied third, I should say. And then there was a Riptide that was up there as well.
Yeah.
So you know what's
Pretty cool.
interesting though is like KO is arguably the best deck, but the meta has definitely shifted, right? And we see it here with none of the KOs making finals because we have these two decks that were very prepared for KO. I didn't expect Dash to take it down. I didn't expect Dash to even make a top 8. It hasn't felt like a strong deck to me by any means.
Well, apparently it's just a very fast deck.
Yeah.
And when you're playing aggressive against aggressive, Dash does more damage than KO, apparently. But it's easier fatigued. But if Guardian's not in the meta because KO does so much damage.
On that note, I actually did play against, I assume it was this deck, on Talishar recently. And the way that they played the deck into me, I was impressed. It did not feel like they were super fatigable with the way that they played into me. And I tried to fatigue them a little bit. I was trying to play a little bit balanced. I ended up taking it down, but it was a very close game. They run the underloops now, which is it's
That makes
a
sense.
big deal for anti-fatigue. It looks like they have the one payload in there. They have sideboarded penetration scripts to try to do some setup turns and really push over the top against the.
Also, might be just the item you start with against KO is like I'm dealing 1 more damage for 2 turns on all my attacks.
Yeah. So you're saying start with penetration script instead of hyperdriver?
Yeah, it might be that. I could be wrong.
Could.
I don't know Dash at all.
I don't think that you can because your deck is so built around the hyperdriver. You have the rev ups, you have the jump starts, you have the birth and crankshafts to get the free extra counters. The free resource is such a big deal in the deck too. I don't think you can, but I there was some consideration. I remember back when OG Dash was still legal and the Dash IO Armory deck came out. I remember there was like a consideration to running Cerebellum Processor going second, I believe, or going first or second, because you basically just get a free card draw at the end of every turn for the first 2 turns. But anyway, yeah, I think that this deck is a meta shift winner because Decimator just doesn't survive currently in a KO meta. It's just not good. Decimator just does not win against these KO decks. And so because Decimator doesn't exist anymore, I think that some like this a little bit greedy, quote unquote greedier. It has the anti-fatigue tools in here as well, but a little bit greedier in terms of getting fatigued deck is showing up.
Yeah.
But Oldhim being the second place deck is quite interesting. And the Oldhim losing to this Dash deck really shows that it's been built to be
kind of crazy.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to get at is I wonder if LSS is gonna look at this tournament and say, okay, the meta has shifted. KO is not quite as dominant as people are saying, as people think. Maybe we don't need to do an emergency ban. That's my prediction. I think that there's gonna be no Silver Age. I think it's gonna be no changes across the board when this BNR comes out.
That's what I think. It's just no changes. What I want to see on the ban list, that's a different thing. I want T-Toxic on. I just don't.
I would agree. I hate T-Toxin. It's so annoying to play against.
The problem that I have with T-Toxin is it just, like I said, the best way to play against Mario is just not to play against Mario because you block and then they get more value because you played a card. Like they're stronger because you played and you decided to play the game. It like just doesn't feel very flesh and blood. Right. Like, oh, you blocked, so it's 0. Like now my reaction is 0 for 6. And it's also like I don't know. T Toxin does not feel like a very healthy card. A 0 for 6 in the reaction step. Like Warrior gets a 0 for 3 that you have to block to get the 0 for 3. But Assassins just get a 0 for 6 in reaction step. It's a 0 for 3 in reaction step. If you block, it's a 0 for 6. Like,
Yeah, and that's like the thing is like
I like
it sucks because it's a card that it just you can't play around, and if you do play around it, you get punished, and therefore it just always gets value.
And that's where I'm like, I don't think it is it just doesn't, it's just not healthy for Flesh and Blood because it punishes interaction. And in a deck that demands interaction, like, it's crazy.
So, on a side note, I was trying to look up the current ban list of cards and see if there's any cards that could get unbanned.
I think there's a few cards that could get unbanned.
Do you already know some? It sounds like
Rootbound Carapace.
Oh yes, Rootbound Carapace can get unbanned.
But yeah,
Plume of Evergrowth can get unbanned.
That could, yeah. Now Jarl can throw 4 Felling of the Crowns. Maybe Jarl could be relevant as an Earth hero after all.
What else?
I heard some people talking about Talk a Big Game. I don't know if that would be healthy right before the Pro Tour, but
I don't think that they can do that quite yet. Yeah, I don't think that's allowed.
I want to do it of all this so bad. I want to dominate something when they have no equipment and no armor and be like, I'm hitting for 6. I know I'm hitting for 6. I have 6 mites. Crazy. Anyways.
What if with the way that Syndra's been performing lately, do we think that they could scale back on the bans on Syndra? Could they bring back either Brand with Cinderclaw or Wrath of Retribution?
Not Wrath. Never unban Wrath. That's crazy.
Yeah, what if it was only like one color of Brand with Cinderclaw that was banned?
I could see like a color coming back.
Yeah, like what if red?
I don't know.
Either red brand or blue brand comes back.
Yeah. What about yellow?
That would be a weird ban of like only red and blue are banned, but yellow is fine.
Yeah. No, I think it'd probably be red coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it probably could, especially looking at a lot of the meta spread. You don't have any of the draconic heroes in there.
I do think
at least the draconic ninjas.
There's a bit of a concern, and this is going to be our original topic, like main topic, but we're just going to talk about it in a small point now. There's a concern that fatigue is going to be a bit dominant with the rise of Arachne Huntsman, with the rise of the Guardians, with Verdance going away. I don't think that's actually a problem for what it's worth. I think that with the Cilio being one of the best decks, that deck beats fatigue if you know how to play into it.
Yeah, it does.
Gravy still exists and can definitely beat fatigue. What else? Oh, who else was I thinking of? There's Warriors. Warriors can beat fatigue. Vincent can beat fatigue as well if you play around it. Vincent can beat fatigue. Some ninjas can play in a way that beats fatigue.
I mean, Fi is good into fatigue.
Yeah, Fi is good into fatigue. Reinar is the fatigue killer.
Yeah, Reinar's good.
Yeah.
Puffnut's good into fatigue. Like,
Fang is typically good into fatigue. Typically.
Yeah. I think Fang's just good and underrepresented, but that's just me. But I also get beat up by Fang so bad.
Levi used to be good into fatigue. I
think Levi could still be good into fatigue.
She could, but no claws makes it a lot worse on the like.
Well, that's not the fatigue package. You don't care about claw and fatigue.
But you just
in fatigue you have.
But what I'm trying to get at is that like that was a big part of pushing through some of the early damage, right? Was playing your Blood Rush Bellows turns, and so you lose, 3 Blood Rush Bellow. Well, not 3 because usually you'd only play like 2, right? You lose like 2 Blood Rush Bellow leaking turns of like anywhere from like 3 to 8 damage, right?
That's fair. I think I hate this card, but Shadow of Blasphemous they'll let you search your deck for a fatigue tool and
Oh
banish
yeah,
it.
yeah. But you have like the guaranteed fatigue loop, right? Well, guaranteed,
Yeah,
right? I
and
can't remember if it's guaranteed or not.
it makes it more guaranteed. And if you're going fatigue heavy, like I think Leviathan is insane into fatigue because you are losing like one card from your deck to throw at like 9 to 12 damage.
Yeah.
It's something where like you're demanding so much from your opponent and you're not losing anything from your deck. And if you don't know what it is, the fatigue loop in Leviathan is Deep Rooted Evil. It's a yellow 3-cost 6 attack, no block that says if this has been banished this turn, or if a 6 power attack has been banished this turn, you may play this from the banish zone. And then I forget the non-attack action, but it's a 2, it's red, 2 block. Your next attack gets plus.
Howl from Beyond?
Next attack gets +3. Yes. And it says you may play this from your banish zone. And the idea is you like do an attack with go again. So like Deadwood Dirt. No, that's not it. That's definitely not it. That's a
You
really
used to play Leviathan. What happened?
I know what happened to me.
Dread Screamer? Is that what it is?
It's Dread Screamer. Yes, you play Dread.
I know these cards more than you do.
And you banish. I don't know what's going on, but so you have one card and those 2 cards that you just comboed with, hitting those 3 cards, and then after Dread Screamer, you close the combat chain. Or no, they're banished. But then since Deep Rooted Evil sees itself banished, you then play your buff and Deep Rooted Evil. So you go like, even if it's 4, you could go 4 into 9 or 6 into 9. And then you end the turn. That all goes to grave. You have 3 cards in grave. Then you play another card that banishes 3 the next turn. So you banish 3, banishing your Deep Rooted Evil and your Howl from Beyond. And then you play them again after they go again your attack. And you go like whatever go again into Deep Rooted Evil or Howl Beyond Deep Rooted Evil. Then you play Go Again, Howl Beyond Deep Rooted Evil. Go Again, Howl Beyond Deep Rooted Evil. And the other thing is, like, if you're going heavy fatigue, you can run the non-attack that's like banish 3 cards from your grave. Your next attack gets dominated. If the 6th attack has been banished that way. And then you can play that at blue, I'm pretty sure. It's been such a long time since I played Leviathan. But yeah, you can play it at blue. I remember it being a combo back in Oldhim where it's something, and then you go dominate for 9. And you can do that 3 times.
Yeah.
And then
you
the
have
other
like the
thing-
guaranteed anti-fatigue loop.
Yeah.
It's so much damage. It's like you will beat fatigue this way.
And then yeah. The other thing is you have the flip now where you can switch to the hero where
That's
it
a
turns
lot of
all your
damage.
cards in graveyard into turn them face down. And the thing is, you obviously don't play it when you have Howl Beyond or Deep Rooted Evil in your graveyard. You like take a turn, maybe you drop to 1 life because they applied pressure. You take your action to flip, turn all of that face down. No cards have blood debt, or that they maybe do have blood. I don't remember exactly what the text is, but yeah, you do that. And then you're
the problem is that everything you banish goes face down when you flip that.
No, that's consumed.
Oh,
I'm talking about redeemed. Because
yes,
redeem you can use to heal you, and then you can continue the loop.
Let me find it. Redeemed. Action. Turn all cards in your banish zone face down. Transform into Leviathan. Redeemed. Activate this ability only while this is in your inventory and you have 13 or more cards with blood debt in your banish zone. Cards you own lose blood debt. Yeah, it doesn't actually. Yeah, you don't flip over the cards afterward. You're right. So yeah, you flip into this hero that has 8 health. You no longer have blood debt, and as long as you still have those cards in your graveyard, still you can do the loop after.
Yeah. So you just activate this while those cards in your graveyard instead of attacking and banishing them. And then you flip, which you go from 1 health usually is when you want to activate it, to 8 health, which gives you a buffer. All your cards with blood debt, so you don't take blood debt anymore. And then you just continue the loop again. You just start, okay, I'm looping you again.
Yep. You have so many ways to do the loop effectively.
Yeah.
Long story short.
And like if you're going into fatigue, you have the like sideboard option of I can give my attack dominate or I can give it plus like 3 or something like that as another banish. So it's like, okay, it's just 12.
Yeah, but long story short, there are answers to fatigue, and the worst case scenario is there becomes a bit of a meta triangle, which is a perfectly fine meta triangle of fatigue, uh, anti fatigue, and then like the beat decks that beat the anti fatigue, right? So
Yeah.
then there's a triangle of like fatigue beats the anti or decks that beat anti fatigue decks. There's the anti fatigue decks that beat the fatigue decks, and it just kind of goes like a loop.
Yeah. We're used to triangles.
Yeah, we're used to triangles. So yeah, I don't think fatigue's a problem. I don't think that they're going to, even if fatigue does have a rise up, the meta will shift to take care of that.
I think the other thing like to consider about like the bans that we were just talking about, uh people are talking about banning Remembrance. We'll see if LSS does that. I think if it does, Balda's even better because I don't like Remembrance in that deck, and I'm already okay into fatigue decks.
Yeah, the problem is that like remembrance is often more of an anti-fatigue tool than it is a fatigue tool, right? If the fatigue deck is plain remembrance, it's a card that doesn't block. Sure, it shuffles more cards in the deck, but they're usually not starved of cards, right? The main problem is that like the fatigue deck will end up with like 10 to 15 cards when the other deck has 0. Usually.
So one thing I want to say is normally like Guardians, like Guardian Mirrors, if you're planning to fatigue a Guardian, you run Remembrance. Because Guardians have the opportunity to eat a lot of cards from deck because like I'm throwing 10, taking 3 cards out of your deck just for you to block. So like the opportunity cost of not running Remembrance and fatigue mirror or in Guardian mirrors, if you're trying to fatigue them, is a really big thing. And all of a sudden, if you take Remembrance away, I think that aggressive Guardian becomes really good into fatigue Guardian because you're not doing anything but blocking, and your blocking requires more cards from my hand or from your hand.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's an anti-fatigue tool, long story short. Same with Victor. Like Victor runs Remembrance not to fatigue you, to shuffle more damage into the deck.
Crazy. Yeah, the Victor Remembrance fatigue thing is crazy. You don't want to go second cycle with Victor. You lose second cycle with Victor.
Yeah.
He is all of a sudden Florian.
Yes, he is. Yeah, actually that's a very good comparison. He's very similar to Florian in that sense. And yeah, Florian ran Remembrance to beat fatigue, not to like play into the other decks. It was to beat the fatigue decks. Is really what Remembrance was. And so long story short, banning Remembrance doesn't make the fatigue decks worse. It actually makes them better.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think like it makes them worse in some categories, but it does make them better in the fact that a lot of decks that normally can't beat fatigue can't run Remembrance to beat fatigue.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that ban. I think that it might be a healthy ban maybe in the future, just in terms of the way that the card interacts with the game. You're not intended to play some of these cards more than 3 times, right? But that's a future problem. I don't think it should be banned yet.
Okay if it goes. I think my deck gets better if it goes. I think personally, me as a player gets better if it goes.
Yeah.
Not that I run Remembrance, but I play a lot of fatigue, and I don't play a lot, but I play into fatigue decks that run like 3 of Remembrance, and if they didn't have that 3rd Remembrance, I would have won.
Yeah.
I've had that happen a few times. So like if Remembrance goes, like my win percentage goes up like at least 1-2%. Like
anything else before we have this one last thing to talk about and then sign off?
no, I think I am good to get to the end.
All right, so we got a cool Ponder token revealed for what event was it for again?
I honestly don't know.
It's somewhere. It's in Japan, right? I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I could probably find it really quick, but a very gorgeous art for a Ponder token. For a Japanese Sage event is what it says. Really cool art. I feel like I need one. It is sick.
We were talking last week about your favorite card. One of your favorite cards being Ponder.
That's true. This doesn't fit the same role of why that was my favorite card, but
Well, now it can be your extra favorite card because
Extra
it is one of the
favorite
best arts in the game.
It is a really, really gorgeous art. Very cool. Rivals up there with the alt art Blanche. Um, in my opinion, at least. I feel like I need this token. But yeah. Uh, with that, let's leave our audience with a question. What do you think the meta is going to turn out like? Let us know in the comments below, whether on YouTube or on Spotify. And with that, I'm Cody.
And I'm Jacob.
Thanks for watching and listening.